There's no single type of person that joins the military, and that's what makes the United States Armed Forces so powerful and successful. Men and women of all races, nationalities, colors, wealth status enlist and commission every day. Each joins for a number of reasons, like schooling, traveling the world, or a personal call to duty. No two people are brought up the same, and everyone has experienced life in a different way. Each person has their own identity that is not only useful to themselves, but to the military as well. While each person has a different way of thinking and processing information, they must be taught how to integrate it into the military's way. There are many types of people that come together, and when they do, learning to understand, work with, trust, and grow can become challenging. The only way to break down those barriers is to learn how to understand and relate to all types of people. The greatest strength of our Air Force is our airmen. The greatest strength of our airmen is their diversity. Each of them comes from a different background, a different family experience, a different social experience. Each brings a different set of skills and a unique perspective to the team. We don't just celebrate diversity, we embrace it. That's a quote from former Chief of Staff, General Welsh. Posing the question, who makes up our military forces, doesn't always have a simple and clear-cut answer, but knowing who our people are is half the battle. Taken from the 2013 Department of Defense Office of Diversity Management and Equal Opportunity Diversity and Inclusion report stated that over 37% of our military personnel are racial and ethnic minorities, and 15% are women. It also stated that 53% of the enlisted force is made up of white males, while a combination of women and other races make up the rest. Women and minorities throughout the branches do not progress through the ranks as much as white males. Women at the senior non-commissioned officer rank is only 11%, and senior officers is 7%. According to the Diversity Management Equal Opportunity Diversity and Inclusion report, minorities are significantly less, and women of different races are even lower. I had the opportunity to sit down with a former basic military training instructor, Master Sergeant Brigham. He was a TI at Lackland Air Force Base for basic military training for the Air Force from 2009 to 2014. BMT is the first stage in shaping a young person into a military member, and with flights over 50-plus trainees, he encountered diversity every day. When asked about encountering diversity, his response was, as a TI, you come across people from all walks of life and all the backgrounds you can imagine. The biggest issue is finding a common belief that everyone can appeal to. You had to find a baseline so that everyone could get on board and use that to drive them forward. He also said that a BMT flight is a mixing pot of personalities, cultures, and beliefs. It is America in a nutshell, and conflict resolution was key. When asked about different training he received to deal with diversity, he spoke about deliberate development. It was dedicated to diverse personalities and catered towards people's different backgrounds and gave many approaches to different personalities. When working with differences that arose, he explained that a TI has to get on a personal level and exchange life experience. A great tool that he used was called Airman's Time. These were guided discussions of a personal nature, and that was the way to have the trainees really open up. They were free to speak without fear of the hat and stripes. This was the best way to get open engagements from all, and the talks were some of the first mentoring that these airmen had ever had. Many times he would find differences between them and exploit them in a constructive manner to get maximum participation. He explained over time that he encountered many different thought processes, and he gave the example of a trainee that still believed in slavery. That was the way that he was brought up, and he had to find ways to help the trainee interact and succeed with his fellow African American trainees. The biggest difference that he had to endure was the difference between males and females. He explained that males would respond better to being yelled at and physically pushed harder. Males would also take longer to get together, but at a certain point they would click and all excel. He explained that with females, they would join together very quickly but begin to break down over time because they would argue and fight about everything. He said that he took more of a father-type role and that nothing was more motivating than a disappointed dad. He also explained that females opened up much more than males did, so he had to learn to deal with many different issues, like menstrual cycles, many emotions, and past personal problems that arose. He gave an example of a trainee who was assaulted before she joined, and all the yelling set her into a depressed state and eventually broke her down. He explained that for 8 weeks, they were my children. I had to grow them and get them to be ready to be productive members of the Air Force. After basic training, you are sent through many different types of additional training that would continue to progress throughout your career. The military puts its members through professional military education, or PME, at different stages. The first of all of schooling is Airman Leadership School, when you become an NCO and a supervisor. You are taught how to interact with your subordinates in a supervisory role. During that time, they train extensively on personal interactions with many types of people in many different situations. My job as a staff sergeant is to be the first in a long line of supervision. I am supposed to be the first to handle any situations that arise, be it work-related or personal. I must ensure a good work ethic, timeliness, hygiene, professional behavior, and much more. I also have to mentor the young airmen. With that said, I must be able to interact with all types of people. I have to make my airmen feel comfortable to interact and talk with me on a daily basis. There are many types of people that will react to differently in every situation. With that, I have had to rely heavily on my training to ensure that I handle each and every problem with an open mind, sincerity, and professionalism. The plan to overcome diversity issues. Understanding cultures. All branches of the military celebrate cultural awareness months, including African American Month, Hispanic History Month, and Asian and Pacific Islander Month. I believe that there should be more than just a recognized month, and we should learn about how these different cultures live their lives rather than just knowing they exist. Understanding personal backgrounds. Different parts of the country have their own way of doing things. Where a person is from and their upbringing can bring great insight into what motivates them best. Understanding cultural differences and misunderstandings can bring people closer together. Different personal backgrounds have been added to the Armed Force Branch's education, and in June, the LGBT Pride Month was started in the year 2016. By learning about different types of people, we can better equip ourselves to handle difficult situations better. And lastly, I believe that we should add more cultural and social specific diversity training and not just awareness. For deployments, I have done cultural specific training for the area I was deploying to. It helped me understand the Middle Eastern culture, Muslim religion, and different customs and courtesies for that region. More training of this nature should be added to understand not only cultural differences, but geographic and social differences throughout the military, and this should be done with the different areas of the United States.